Hello, I'm Kiss Sis. I've made a number of videos over the last few years, but they're mostly things I send to my friends to say, hey, look what I did, or what do you think of this, or whatever. You know, I'm going to do a video today that's probably going to hit a broader spectrum of people and just share my experience with using Fusion 360. I started using it about a year and a half ago. A friend of mine using SolidWorks basically said, if I was going to do this over again, this is what I'd use. And he sent me a link to Fusion. I tried it, and over a year and a half, I'd say 60% to 70% of what I do is done in Fusion 360. If I do a really complicated shape or whatever, I still like Rhino better. If I just want to output some 2D thing to cut some carbon fiber on my router or something like that, well, I'll use Rhino to draw it and SheetCam to output the cut files. But this basically is showing how in time, everything I do, I think, will be in Fusion 360. So I might say a little bit what I've been building stuff for 50 years. I think I've probably spent more time designing electronic devices, but in the last 5 or 10 years, I seem like I've spent more time with mechanical things, and most of it just for fun. But just in the last 5 years, because of how inexpensive and how available different 3D software is, and how available, as you can see with the price of 3D printers, what they are, and even inexpensive CNC routers that you can buy. What you can do at home has just exploded. I've been building my own machines, for a number of years. I started out with 30 years ago with foam cutters, and then I built a large wood router, built a plasma cutter, and then I was fortunate to get a Tormach CNC mill. And the last year I've had a TAS5 3D printer, which I've been very happy with. It's done very well. I like its open source properties and so forth. So it's been a good machine. Let's see. But the frustration I have now with all of this capability is I just don't know what to do. So I just can't decide from day to day what project I'm going to work on. I'm kind of looking down here at my notes of what I wanted to say. So, I'm not going to try to really teach you how to use Fusion 360. There's guys like John Saunders at NYC CNC, Lars Christensen, or just the Autodesk team in general put out some really great instructional videos. You can be selective and find just that problem that you have. Lars has a live deal where you can actually log in and pose a question to him. So that's just great. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is go into Fusion and just poke around my project file and show you the different things that I've done, and then when I get done, I'll go out with my little video camera and we'll look at the devices in the real world and just see how they function and how they fit, and maybe something that you might want to do someday. Why, give you a little incentive to do it. So here we go. Okay. Here we are inside Fusion 360, and my project files over here, which we won't get into, but I've opened up a number of just representative projects that I've done. And what you see there, everybody knows what that is. It's you know, a GoPro holder. And I got on Thingiverse and looked, and there's a jillion of them. So why did I draw one? Well, I drew one because nobody had the quick release base for my camera tripod. So I made one that would have that that base on it, and it's been great. And it also allows me to stand the camera up separately, and it's quick release, in and out, and you get all the goodies on it. You know, anybody that's ever tried to pour gas out of these new gas cans that the government created a number of years back, where some idiot put the air inlet and the gas coming out of it at the same spot and expected it to work. But anyway, this is just a vent. But you can buy these. I see these for sale. Anyway, I kind of drew one up, and you can put that on your gas can and pop it off, and you can actually let air in the gas can so gas can come out. This is, I put this here not so much for that it's a big deal, but this is a tool holder for the Tormach tool system on a Tormach mill. It fits on the monitor arm. And I got a couple of those that I use. But what I really showed it for, what's really, really neat about Fusion is as you see here, I forgot to put a bolt. So let's put a bolt in there. Why? Gee, I forgot what size bolt it is. So I can click on that, comes over here, and 3.25 millimeter hole. Well, I obviously made that for a 3 millimeter bolt. So let's get a bolt. We come up here and wow, we got direct access to McMaster car. Let me click on screws and bolts here. Socket head, metric. There's 3 millimeter. Let's go down here. We'll make it 12, 14 millimeters long. We'll let's grab one of these. We pull this up, we see product detail, we scroll down. I like to use step, and we hit save, and that's going to insert this screw into my drawing. Bam, and it just did. We'll just leave it where it is. Okay. Now let's go. Okay, well, let's go. Well, there it is. You know, well, if I'm really good, I could probably put that in that hole with a line command. So let's I don't know. I'm not always real good at this, but let's see if we can't do this. So come down here and try to have it for a second. Boom. We're going to put that point, okay, and align it with that point. Boom. There we go. Isn't that cool? Huh? Not to draw it. It's so neat that you've got this inventory of millions of parts, and not just at McMaster Car, but so many people now provide 3D images that you can use in your design work. It's wonderful. What is this? This is the typical stuff that you know, you wouldn't do unless you had a 3D printer sitting there, I guess. That's just a riser. You know, the cable companies give you what they call a set-top box. Well, I haven't seen a TV that will sit on in a long, long time. So anyway, what this does is raises up. Get a print to these. It raises up the TV enough that the set-top box fits under it. Anyway, it's just plastic fix. This is something you know, I've got it on my TAS 5. It just holds these cheap $30 cameras. That, you know, IP cameras, and I can watch what my machine's doing. Fits on the post, or you could just print this and screw it into the wall. Anyway, it's a simple mount. Nothing fancy. Not enough to. I don't know if that's a big enough reason for me to buy a 3D printer. Okay. Well, now this is something that's, you know, I made a while back, and you might recognize it. It's an Echo spool for a weed eater. I needed a spare one, so I drew it up, and then after I drew it up, then I sliced it on this plane and on this plane, and extended out these little tabs a little bit, and made it so that they would insert each other. So now it's easy to 3D print, okay? And I glue it together with Duco cement. Works good. Even made a holder for it that sits on my my router's handle. So those are neat things. That's the stuff I like to do, and it's fun to do. You know, one of the first things I did when I got my got Fusion was playing around with the different aspects of it. And one of the things is its parametric ability, where you can always go back and change a number, and then anything that number affects will be updated throughout the whole project. And if I wanted to change the size of this, it's nothing more than me coming over there, and you know, I can change the width here to 55. Okay, you know, and it changes. I can change the length of it. You know, let's say I want to make the length, I don't know, 100. Boom, I got it. One of the neat things also is the fact it's so easy now that I can go in here and I could create a sketch on that surface, create posts that I need to support my what circuit board I might have, you know. Let's see here. Yeah, and I did that in the past. So if I just come over here and I've got a top and a bottom. Let me turn off the bottom. Okay, that's the top. Okay, and we're going to turn on just the bottom. If I wanted to extrude out that part, I can turn that sketch on, and you can see it down in here. I'll hit E for extrude, and we'll just capture the position. Okay, we come into here. If I turn the body off, it makes selecting this a little easier. Turn the body back on, and we can just bring that up. Now it's red now because it's in cut, but we don't want to cut it. We want to join it. So there's my post. Okay, I can do 4 of those, and I can mount my printed circuit board on it. Okay, and also when I get done, I think, well, gee, I got a pretty big box for that little bitty board, you know. So we can once come in here to modify, go to change parameters, and you know, change the length to oh, I don't know, 60. See what that does. Okay, well, I made it 160. Oh, dummy me. Okay, 60. Oh, there you go. That's a little more reasonable. Pretty neat, huh? Well, that's all I'm going to show you. You know, you get the gist of it. It's pretty neat. It's a great program. It's not that hard to use. You can import things like you know, the screw that you're going to use, you know, and have that all listed in your over in the browser component, which I don't have showing here, but it shows the McMaster-Carr part number, and you can order the part. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to get out of here, and then I'm going to go out and do some little videotaping of the individual projects where they're actually being used. And it might grow long. You know, when you get tired of watching, just say goodbye. You know, whatever. If you like what you saw, you could hit subscribe. And if I had enough people who are interested in what I do, maybe I'll do another video. But this is a kind of my thank you for watching, and you know, hope to come back, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the clips. That yeah, it depends on how long they are. This video is already longer than I want. I like 5-minute videos, and I'm probably up to 15 or 20 already. So well, anyway, thanks for watching. For leveling my 3D printer, I bought this cheap little dial indicator and printed out a plate that they normally use, and it adapted it a little bit so it'll hold this in exactly the same position that point would be. That mounts on there, and then I can go around and level the table. That was one of my first printing projects that I did. You know, I also wasn't sure
I thought that one of my axes was took way too much torque, so I built a little torque gauge here. You can see it. Anyway, simple torque gauge that clamps on the lead screw, and I can see how much force it takes. You know. Then I found that one side was tight, and by loosening up the screws and realigning everything, I got it the way it should be. One of the first things I made was to monitor my homing. When I home my Lulzbot, why, it of course references this micro switch to whatever that setting is. But what you don't know is if the other Z-axis has been upset. So after I've done a good job of leveling the table and leveling and tramming the machine, and I set the 0 where I want it, I use this on the right side, hit home here. It shows me that the right side has also come back to 0 with the left. Simple thing. Built little camera shelves for these little cheap $30 Amazon cameras that I use just to see what's going on with the machine. Here's something that just about everybody has printed as a GoPro mount. This one I printed just to, it matches my tripod, which my video camera is mounted on now. Just a quick in and out tripod mount. And as you can, I can demonstrate here. Been in there so long I can't get it out. Oh, there we go. Boom. You know, it just has a little spring-loaded latch, goes in, and it's there. Works good. And I also, if you lay one of these GoPros down because of the wide-angle lens, you'll scratch the lens. So I just printed a little piece that extends out and keeps you, if it does tilt over, you aren't going to scratch the lens. They don't do that because if you put this inside the watertight enclosure, why, of course, then we wouldn't have room. But anyway, plastic thick. Needed a new spool for my weed eater, so that's focusing it now. Anyway, so I drew one of these up, made it out of 3 pieces, make it easier to print. And then while I was at it, I made a nice little mount so I could carry an extra one with me. And just slide this on and carry it with me. And when I run out of line, I swap them out. I let my ultrasonic cleaner on one day with the heat on, and I forgot about it, and the water evaporated, and I burnt a hole in my basket. Dummy me. Well, I just went and printed up another one. Pretty cool, huh? As I get older, my hands give me a little more trouble, and the crank on my drill press, I was able to make a little adapter by, I drew this automobile door open motor, okay, that's geared down, and I drew this, put them next to each other, and put a block of plastic in there, and let this erase that plastic and that erase this plastic, hollowed out the bottom where I could put a switch, and now I can raise and lower this just from the use of a LiPo battery. Handy things that I've made out of plastic just to help me out. That holds my mister in place with the magnets so it doesn't slide off of there. I've since permanently mounted it, but My wife loves this little red wagon here, the old radio flyer. Not like the one I had as a kid, but anyway. The white plastic, I guess the UV rays got it and it just turned it into brittle mush. So when one of them broke, I just made two halves like that and put it together and made a better hub than it was on there. So this little gizmo here is my Amp Dispenser, which is basically just a sugar dispenser that I printed a piece of plastic that holds it in place inside a piece of 3" square steel tubing, and it has a little push pedal that, if you can see that or not, that pushes against that lever and dispenses a 1/4 teaspoon, I think, of stuff. So I just press it 4 or 5 times when I steer over a mound, and away we go. Just another, neat little plastic, what do I call it? Plastic fix. Here's a knife that I made out of walnut on my wood router. But before I went ahead and cut it, I just wanted to get a feel for what it looked like, so I printed one out of plastic. This is a little smaller in size, but it gave me a feel that it felt good and it looked good, so I went ahead and cut it out of walnut. After I tried the plastic one, I created a cut file that you just saw in Fusion, and I cut a roughing cut and a ball mill cut on the one side, flipped it over, did another roughing cut, and then a ball mill finish cut. Popped that off the board and cut it out with a bandsaw and just sanded the edges, and it came out as you saw. I'm including this. This is another piece of software by Autodesk called Remake. I was able to upload a bunch of pictures that my daughter took of me sitting on a chair outside, and they sent me this STL file back down, and I was able to take it and send it to the TOS 5 printer and create this really good looking pilot there that kind of looks like me. Didn't get painted real well. The only thing that's correct, I think, is the gray hair. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this, guys. I really appreciate it. I think I've done enough. I could add a lot more, but we'll let her go at that. So once again, thanks for watching.